let's talk about let's
A
talk about
long-standing perpetual rumor.
let's talk about a topic that Star Wars fans all agree on and have nice, humane conversations and discourse about.
There's no disagreement on this subject.
Yeah.
That's a complete lie. We're talking about Kathleen Kennedy.
Beloved figure in the Star Wars leadership, Kathleen Kennedy, was apparently reported to be close to retirement.
Well, there were rumors
a few days ago. Yeah,
there were rumors that she was retiring,
right,
/ being forced out. But
those rumors got picked up by some pretty big outlets. Mm-hmm. I think like Deadline got a hold of it and Hollywood Reporter and shit. Which. To what extent can you even trust, those things? I don't even know. But so she did an interview a few days later, and it was like, guys, I'm not
quitting.
Yeah, I'm not retiring. Like maybe in a year. So this is the thing.
Maybe in many years.
Yes.
Like we've sort of talked about a succession internally, but like it's not happening.
Right. And okay, so here's some cold hard facts for you. Mm-hmm. Kathleen Kennedy is 71 years old.
Okay.
It would be perfectly reasonable for her to retire.
Yeah.
Because people her age, that's their next
generally
step.
Don't work anymore.
Yeah, they retire and then they die or whatever. Now we know, of course, the what makes this whole situation funny is that the Mike Zeros and the Kathleen Kennedy or the Star Wars series of the world,
Doomcocks and et al.
have been peddling this lie for years.
They've been screaming for like a decade that Kathleen Kennedy is about to retire.
Right. Or more specifically is forced out. And then when that didn't end up happening,
they just went on to the next lie and counted on everyone to forget about it.
Well, they also did the thing where they did a post hoc rationalization, where they're like, oh well, she's not publicly fired, but she's not actually in control of it. It's like when President Biden won the election, and they're like, oh well, actually Trump's the president, and he's leading the military, and he's actually calling the shots, and Biden is just a figurehead. It's a lot like that, because as we know, the Star Wars theories and the Mike Zeros of the world are the Star Wars QAnon, right? Mm-hmm. And so that was their next thing was, oh, well, Kathleen Kennedy hasn't been fired, but she's not actually running anything. She's a figurehead.
They've taken the keys away from grandma.
Right. And then the second this comes out, they're like, oh, she was ruining Star Wars the whole time, and they're finally firing her. And then 2 days later, Kathleen is like, you guys are a bunch of fucking idiots.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go make out with Brie Larson.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they had. So here's the thing. I think she should retire. And this isn't because, look, I come to despise people that make me defend Hollywood producers, because they're generally not great people, right? At the very least, Kathleen Kennedy has seen some shit that she hasn't blown the whistle on, and that in itself is crime enough, right? Mm-hmm. That being said, people generally and sometimes willfully misunderstand what her job is. And she's become a figurehead of, and let's be honest about it, these are right-wingers, for the most part, right-wingers, who have kind of installed Kathleen Kennedy in their mind as the boogeyman of all the things, like, that represents all the things that they don't like to see in media, which is that they would like all media for all time to be white men. And Kathleen Kennedy is the opposite of that. She's the one bringing the gays and the blacks and all this other shit into Star Wars.
And women, they don't like, right? Gasp, women.
Right. Now, I think she should retire, though, because she's been at Lucasfilm for 13 years, which is I think a good tenure. Yes, their output in Star Wars has been a mixed bag. I think that would have been true regardless of who was running Lucasfilm.
I agree.
I don't think that any one person should stay in a position like that for more than 10 years anyway. I think that, like, while institutional memory is important, it's a good idea to get fresh ideas every so often. And I think the same thing about nonprofit organizations too. I don't think any one person should be in charge for more than a decade.
I think in a more creative oriented position, I think I would agree with you. But honestly, Kathleen Kennedy's job is mostly just to hire people and cut checks.
Yeah, she makes sure the trains run on time.
Yeah.
And that's what she loves doing. I mean, she's always done that.
She's really, really good at it.
Yeah.
Like, the reason Disney has kept her around as long as she has is that she makes them a shitload of money.
Yeah, despite the mixed bag of Star Wars content, Star Wars has made more money than it's lost. And we know that.
A lot more.
And I know some people are going to cite, I mean, I know Disney Plus lost a bunch of subscribers. We learned that from a quarterly earnings call, I think. But streaming services across the board have been losing subscribers. Yeah. And it's because they fuck those numbers anyway. And so like the numbers aren't even real. So like when they say, oh, we have X number of subscribers, it's like, no, you don't. You don't have that many people or subscribers.
They watch, these many billion hours. No, you fucked with those numbers.
Yeah, right. Because they don't let anyone see them or anything.
Just trust us, bro. It's totally real.
So like they've made all their money back from the purchase because they bought it for $4 billion, and I think they made that much money back just from Disney World.
I think they made that much back from like just The Force Awakens. Like The Force Awakens made a shitload of money.
Yeah, it did make $4 billion. But when you tie in the merchandise, like, because there was a lot of merchandise happening right when that movie came out, it wouldn't have made $4 billion. But I mean, Force Awakens made more than $1 billion just on its own at the box office, plus the toys and stuff. Probably got it to $2 billion, I bet, at least. And between that and Disney, and I mean, I don't care what you think about Star Wars: The Last Jedi, it made tons of money. It didn't make quite as much as Force Awakens. That's also because Force Awakens was the first Star Wars movie since 2005, and people were freaking the fuck out about it. And Rise of Skywalker, which is a movie I did not particularly enjoy, still made a lot of money. And you see how I did that? Like, there's a thing that I don't like, but I don't just change the facts because I don't like it. Like, it's a fact. It made more money than they spent on production. And that is just a fact. And I know we live in a world where like those kinds of things aren't so important anymore. So what I'm saying is that Star Wars has made more money than the money that was spent on acquiring it. And
more money than the money that's been spent on expanding it.
Yes. And I think I would think that even the poorest performing Star Wars movie still was profitable. It might not have been as profitable as other Star Wars films, but I don't think that there is one that was not profitable, which means that Kathleen Kennedy did her job. That's what her job is to do, right? And she doesn't really have as much to do with the creative input as people think. Real quick though, so let's say in a year she decides to retire. Who do you think takes over? Because I know that in the fandom, like there are like two names that kind of go around.
I don't think it's going to be Dave Filoni.
I don't think so either, despite him being one of the names.
Yeah, because number one, I don't think he wants that job. And
no.
And number two, I think he's way too valuable as a creative person.
Yeah, I think that's what he likes doing. The other name is Jon Favreau, which is something he actually would enjoy doing because he's a producer. He does kind of the same job. Like I know he's acted in shit. He's like directed in other movies and stuff. But
he's very much a producer.
Yeah, and I think he would probably do a pretty good job. The problem is that he's also kind of.
Is he also involved in Marvel?
A lot. Him and Kevin Feige are kind of doing the Marvel thing as well.
So I think if they did get Favreau, I would hope that they would like ease him down on the Marvel side so that he can actually focus on Lucasfilm.
Yeah, and if you guys want to talk about a franchise with lukewarm direction right now, let's talk about Marvel.
The MCU is due for some executive shakeups, I think. I want to bring up one particular line from this interview because it made me laugh.
Sure.
The interviewer asks about, what projects do you have going that you think you're going to get to the finish line? And Kathleen Kennedy says, quote, "Well, I keep waiting for Taika Waititi, and he's busy working with another writer now. I think if we ever do get a script from Taika, it's going to be fantastic." And I read that and I was just like, holy shit, woman.
That was this man said he was going to turn in his homework and he's not done it yet. So
he was going to turn this in like a month ago and I haven't seen it.
A year ago, probably. Yeah. Or it's all been an inside joke between Taika Waititi and Kathleen Kennedy. And
which is a thing I could see Taika Waititi doing.
That's really funny. Yeah. She's like, oh, I gotta do a passive aggressive thing in this deadline interview to get this man to turn in a script.